Raven's Veil is a dark fantasy horror anthology podcast that may contain explicit language and thematic elements not suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Raven's Veil, a dark fantasy Southern Gothic horror anthology podcast set in the shadowy world of the Deep South. A convergent reality situated around what most of humanity has accepted as the truth. Obscured from human eyes, Raven's Veil is a mystical sanctuary intended to preserve the existence of its immortal inhabitants. The Macori, commonly referred to as witches, have been hunted since before written history. The witches of the Highlands fled persecution to a new land that would come to be known as Appalachia. In these parts, you should always be leery of the things that scare witches. The veil is thin tonight, family. Let's see what darkness lies beyond.
Well, hey there, family. It seems like forever since I've been with you folks. Our little respite after the holidays certainly was a needed break from all the hustle and bustle of life. And well, I know y'all get it. If you didn't listen to our Christmas episode, I reckon it ain't too late. Talk about some Southern Gothic horror. Well, I guess I have to be honest. I can't make it through telling that old story without getting all misty-eyed. It's a real tearjerker, for sure. But I guess we should be getting on to untelling this story. Now let me see whereabouts we left off. Yeah, by my recollection, Jude had just finished telling Petra and Sibyl the entire story about the creation of Rock Corsell when Aunt Ruby Bea glinted back to Thistle's Keep in a worrisome mess. Now I'm going to warn you. A lot has happened since we last visited, and not all of it was good. Find Jen's a seat real quick before it gets too late. Settle down now, family, and listen up. You can't even imagine what's happened over at Ravensville. The air in the room was thick with a disconcerting silence. The only sound was the soft rustling of the curtains, swaying ever so slightly in the cool evening breeze. Aunt Ruby Bea sat motionless, her eyes fixed on the horizon where the sun had slowly set hours ago, casting a haunting glow across the landscape of Ravensville on this melancholy night. Her once vibrant auburn hair was now more heavily streaked with gray. It was not a testament to the countless years of wisdom and experience she carried, but from some recent unspoken experience. From a distance, one might have concluded that she had been wounded from the battle. That's what she supposed it was now, a battle in another war to eradicate the Macori. Her posture was tense, as if she were in pain, and her face bore the marks of the recent devastating battle. But on closer inspection, it was clear that her resolve was unshaken. Despite the exhaustion that weighed heavily on her shoulders, she appeared regal and composed in her intricate stitched ceremonial robes, adorned with ancient symbols and runes that glimmered faintly in the dim, dying embers of the hearth. Aunt Ruby Bea's mind raced with the memories of the battle that had led her here. She could still hear the echoes of spells clashing and crashing, the cries of her friends as they were injured and dying, and the agonizing silence that followed. Tonight, she was preparing for something far greater than any battle, her ascension to the office of High Priestess. An office she would gladly fulfill but desperately did not want. A single candle flickered on the windowsill, illuminating the room with a warm golden glow, a stark contrast to the darkness that engulfed her thoughts. She stared into nothingness a while longer, and then stood and began praying.
Heavenly Father, I come before you with a heart full of hope and humility. The path ahead feels daunting, but I trust in your infinite power and guidance. Grant me the strength to rise to the challenges I face, to persevere when the weights feel heavy, and to approach each task with courage and determination. Fill me with wisdom, Lord, to make decisions that reflect integrity and foresight. Help me to discern what is right and to act with kindness and fairness in all I do. May your light guide my steps, and may your love calm my spirit in moments of doubt. I trust in your grace and lean on your promises. Let me walk forward with faith, knowing that I am never alone. Amen.
Sibyl's daddy, Palmer, had been a valiant warrior and a trusted leader. He had fought bravely by her side, wielding powerful magic with unparalleled skill. But the battle had taken a grim turn, and Palmer now lay in a deep, deep coma, his life hanging by a fragile thread. It was a blow that weighed heavily on Aunt Ruby Bea's heart, for she had promised Sibyl that she would protect him at all cost. All of the powerful healers at Ravensvale had tried and failed, but in the end, they had called upon Nadira to help them save him. Even her most complex and potent magic had done little more than keep him breathing. She had taken him to her temple in the penumbra to see if it were even possible to save him. Months passed. She had stabilized him, but something was keeping him right smack dab between the world of the living and the dead. Something was holding him in a state of neither here nor there. So far, she had not figured out a way to bring him back. As Ruby Bea gazed out the window, a sense of determination washed over her. This moment was not about her. It was about preserving the legacy of their kind and ensuring that their magic would continue to thrive. The responsibilities that came with the office of High Priestess were immense, but she was ready to face them head on. She had to be. Sibyl was not ready yet, and Ruby Bea had always been the heir apparent. She had prayed to Nadira and Jehovah for years, never to let this day come. But she now believed there were others responsible for this tragedy. Who? She did not know, nor did she pretend to understand what was truly happening. That would all come out in the wash, she was sure. With a deep sigh, she rose from her seat, her ceremonial robes cascading around her like a waterfall of midnight velvet. She walked to the center of the room, where her ancient staff rested against the wall. She took a lengthy, remorseful look at the staff. A wave of depression and doubt overtook her, and she feared she could not do what was now being required of her. Her hands nervously shook as she grasped the staff, an act she had done thousands of times over her lifetime. When her fingers touched the staff, she felt the connection and the surge of power coursing through her veins. It felt as strong as the day she had received it so many years ago as a gift from her mother, and it was a reminder of the strength and magic within her. The time had come. She could wait no longer. Ruby Bea closed her eyes, took 3 steps, and glinted to the Macquarie Temple at the center of Ravensvale. All of the coven leaders had gathered with their covens to witness the ascension of their new high priestess. The lights of the temple were dim and somber, casting long shadows that added to the mystifying ambience. The only source of light came from the large crystal suspended above the dais where Jude Griogor, the prefect for the Sun Ascension, Gunther Alexander, the prefect for the Earth Ascension, and Astrid Vandenberg, the newly anointed prefect of the Moon Ascension, stood. The temple, constructed entirely of black granite, exuded an imposing and timeless presence. Deliberately, the McCory Temple had no doors and no windows, sealing the sacred space from the outside world, allowing only those who had been invited to enter. The only way in was to glint. As you know, you can only glint where you've been before. There were powerful wards that prevented anything other than the McCory from glinting inside without an escort. Even then, they used memory spells to prevent whoever it was from remembering. In the heart of the sanctuary lay an intricate pentacle, its lines glowing with a soft pale blue light. The pentacle, crafted from inlaid silver, was adorned with complex sigils, their elaborate design whispering of not only ancient knowledge and power, but of the absolute care and precision that had been taken to ensure their function. Each point of the pentacle held a single large radiant precious stone representing the 5 element forces: spirit, water, fire, earth, and air. Each stone was set into a base of obsidian, and each released a fragrant aroma of incense that filled the air with an intoxicating aroma. Encircling the pentacle were 2 concentric rings etched with potent Orphic enchantments. The combination of the pale blue light and the fragrant haze of the incense created a beguiling atmosphere. At the center of the pentacle was a spectacular pool of silvery black liquid called the Veil Shadow. Veil Shadow is a supernatural nexus where the mystical forces of the moon, earth, and sun ascensions are at their strongest. It was built on a natural water source at the point of where the 4 ley lines of Ravensvale converged. The effects were more than the McCory could have ever imagined. Quentin Lennox, the chancery of the McCory Temple, and Ruby Bea's husband, Theo Atwood, helped her into Veil Shadow. Theo kissed her softly on the forehead before she walked to the center and turned to face the dais. Theo Atwood broke protocol and whispered,
"I love you."
Ruby Bea looked around to find that nobody seemed to have heard, which is a good thing for his sake. She would have hated snatching his ears in public and had a very important ceremony. The temple bell rang, and a gentle wisp of McCory magic was infused into the sanctuary, refreshing everyone as if it were a gentle wind blowing through an open window on a spring day. The bell tolled a second time, and Aunt Ruby Bea began to chant, invoking the spirits of her ancestors and calling upon the ancient magic that had been passed down through generations.
Ego sum tatum vas enane. Expectans ut me impleat essentia meorum hoc noctur sacra. In servitium populi me invoco radiante sole ut mihi conferat virtutem et lumen. Advoco perpetuum vim et sapientiam terra ut meos passas regat sub vigilantibus oculis lunae quoreo cognitonem et scientiam ut viam meam elestrant invoco protectionem Nadira ut me protegat in hoc munere sancto cum humiliate sto coram macori, promittens me eos defendere ac servare cum devotiono immatabuli.
The room was filled with radiant light, the very air alive with crackling energy. Jude lifted his wand high, his eyes locked into the crystal above. Channeling his energy, he unleashed a vibrant ray of fire, saying,
Fa me autor a green shoot.
A hot wave of electric energy slammed into everyone and radiated inward toward Ruby Bea. Mirroring Jude's movements, Gunther lifted his staff and channeled a dazzling stream of emerald energy into the crystal. With unwavering focus, he uttered the words,
A nina tau te alba.
Following her companions on the dais, Astrid lifted her wand skyward. She channeled a brilliant beam of pure blue light into the crystal and intoned,
I kabana eya, inta marama, ke al mata.
The room transformed into a serene haven as time itself seemed to slow. One by one, the 13 coven leaders channeled their magic into Valshadow. The black, silvery water turned translucent, spiraling gracefully around Aunt Ruby Bea. A shiver of electricity coursed through her, every cell alive with the thrilling sensation of merging with the universe. The world around her blurred, and she felt her soul began to gently lift away from her physical body. The sensation was both pleasant and disconcerting at the same time. As the ritual continued, she could feel the spirit of the Macori who had passed on, guiding her and supporting her as she ascended. In that instant, she knew that no matter the challenges that lay ahead, she would rise to meet them with unwavering courage. Sibyl, Petra, and Umbra had quietly stood in the rear of the temple, pressed against the wall, trying to stay out of the way. Sibyl was worried about Palmer. She had only left his side when absolutely necessary. She and Petra had participated to the best of their ability, but sometimes things still seemed so foreign. As Aunt Ruby Bea's soul ascended to join the ancestors, a peculiar event transpired. From the chaos of the ritual, a ghostly, shadowy figure emerged. The figure gracefully and silently floated towards Sibyl.
Sibyl, who's that?
As it drew nearer, the figure became more defined, revealing itself to be her mother. In the softest of whispers, almost like a breath, Mary spoke.
I'm so proud of you, Sibyl. I don't have long. This night is a rare opportunity for me to reach you. I love you more than I could ever say, and I wish I could be here to guide you through this. I miss you so much.
Tears filling her eyes, Sibyl said softly,
Mama, I love you too.
Mary, with tears streaming down her translucent face, kissed Sibyl gently on the cheek.
I have 2 gifts for you. The first.
Mary extended her right hand, presenting a small orb of purple light.
Is the ability of witch tongue. It will allow you to speak and understand any creature or person, regardless of the language. The second is all my memories and spells. I can't be here to protect you, but you can take a part of me with you wherever you go.
In her left hand, she held an orb that was gold and sparkled with countless tiny fireflies. Mary gently pressed the purple orb into the center of Sibyl's chest where her heart was, and the orb seamlessly and painlessly merged within Sibyl. She then repeated that gesture with the other orb. The world shifted and Sibyl could sense her mother and the effort it was taking to just stay here these few seconds. Then, for just a single moment, Mary appeared solid. She wrapped her arms around Sibyl and hugged her as if she would never let go. She whispered into Sibyl's ear,
I love you, Sibyl. I am so proud of you. Never forget me.
Mama!
Her physical form began to dissolve into a million fireflies. She kissed Sibyl one more time on the forehead, as she had done so many times when Sibyl was so very young, and Mary returned to Vale Shadow. In Vale Shadow, the fireflies lingered for a moment, encircling her sister Ruby Bea like a shimmering curtain of light before vanishing. Sibyl stood there, feeling the warmth of her mother's presence, the new powers coursing through her veins, and the bittersweet mix of love and loss that would forever shape her destiny. When the final spell was cast, a bell rang with an intense surge of powerful energy. The wave of magic cascaded outward, spreading like ripples on a pond, encircling the earth with an undeniable force. Every corner of the supernatural world felt its touch, an irrefutable declaration that a new Makori High Priestess had ascended. Palmer lay motionless on the grand bed within the sacred chambers of Nadira's temple. His eyes wide open, and his gaze was fixed at an unseen distant point. He doesn't blink. He doesn't move. A haunting stillness enveloped him, an aura of profound anguish permeating the air. It's as if he exists in a space that is caught between the living and the dead. The dim light of the room cast soft shadows, deepening the hollows of his cheeks and accentuating the sharp edge of his jaw. His body in perfect imitation of death, each breath a mere whisper against the silence, as if every act of living were a threat to the delicate thread of life that could be snipped at any moment. Nadira, the ancient divinity of the Makori, stood at the foot of the bed, her eyes closed in profound concentration. Her hands moved with deliberate grace, weaving ancient symbols in the air, each gesture imbued with the millennia of sacred knowledge. The resonance of the chants she recited filled the chamber, harmonizing with the distant sounds of temple bells, creating a haunting symphony that reverberated through the very walls. Nadira uttered the final words of the divine incantation, her voice carrying the weight of her last hope. A mighty rushing wind swept through the chamber, tearing at the ancient tapestries and extinguishing the dim glow of the oil lamps. Darkness engulfed the space, broken only by a subtle, ethereal glow emanating from Palmer's body. As the final echoes of the incantation faded, the glow intensified, casting dark shadows across the chamber. Nadira's breath caught in her throat as she waited, every second stretching into eternity. Nadira spoke to Palmer, and not quite to herself, in a voice so quiet it might not have broken the silence at all.
Palmer, please. They have need of your strength yet.
The air grew still, heavy with anticipation. And then, nothing. Well, alrighty, family. That's where we're going to leave you today. The evening's getting right cold, and y'all need to get them youngins home to their nice warm beds. Night-night now. Don't let the bed bugs bite. Y'all come back any time and I'll be glad to tell you more about the folks over there at Ravensville. Now, family, you adults have a few chores to do. Go on over to ravensville.com and see about doing your chores on social media. Follow us on all the social media platforms that we've made available just for you folks. Like, listen, subscribe, and follow wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you don't mind, leave us a good rating and a kind comment. You can find the Ravensville podcast on your favorite podcast platform. If you haven't already, just search for the Ravensville podcast. And again, make sure you hit that follow button to stay up to date with our latest episodes. Oh, and tell your friends about us, won't you? So until next time, family, see you soon.
The Ravensville podcast is a production of Small Raven Media. Today's story was written, directed, and narrated by Jeryd Bolden-Greer. The voice of Sibyl Ashford was performed by Kristen Newby. The voice of Petra Hunley and Theodore Atwood were performed by Presley King. The voice of Jude Griogor and Gunther Alexander were performed by Jeryd Bolden-Greer. The voices of Astrid Vanderberg and Mary were performed by Veronica Williams. The voice of Aunt Ruby Bea Atwood was performed by Lena Perkins. Audio engineering and sound design by Nick Devan at Nicky D Sound. Copyrighted 2025 Small Raven Media. All rights reserved.